We're going to look at the importance of botany. I mean, this is a plant science course, botany, so we're going to talk about all these things. And botany is basically the segment of biology that deals with plants. And plants are very complicated depending on how you look at them, and they're very simple depending on how you look at them. And we're going to try and figure out a lot of things and look at a lot of things about plants. First, most important thing about plants that we got to have plants around is plants are used in the form of food. We get nutrition from plants, we get energy from plants. There are a lot of different things that we get from plants, and food is one of them. If we look at fruits and vegetables, I mean, we can see all of these real nice edible things that we use as food. We've got corn over here. Corn on the cob is very common. Corn grain is common. We use corn grain to feed animals, we feed ourselves on it, and very important as far as food goes. Vegetables, in this particular case, we're looking at a cabbage. This particular cabbage is, again, a source of nutrition. Over here, we've got dried materials. These are beans. We're going to talk about the legume family and where we get beans from. And again, an excellent source of nutrition. Up here, we've got nuts. Nuts are very interesting. We keep them around. They have good nutrition in them. They serve as an excellent food source. Down here, we've got the famous onion. Onion can be eaten as a food. It can also be used as a seasoning in food. We've got a lot of different seasoning materials that we can use as far as food goes. In here, we've got ginger. This is what a ginger root looks like. Again, it is plant material. We use it for food, and we will talk about it later. When we talk about botany, we talk about things that used to be considered plants. In there, we've got different things that can be served as pathogens. Now, we're going to look at pathogens from the point of what do they do to plants. This is a mold on a strawberry. You've all seen that. Not very appetizing. We normally get rid of the strawberry. This is a plant that has been attacked by a pathogen. These are actually the leaves. They don't look anything like leaves, but those are the leaves. This was a broccoli that I was trying to grow in my mother's garden, and it didn't survive the attack of this particular pathogen. Over here, we've got a pathogen that occurs on trees, and this is a form of rust. It is approximately baseball size, maybe a little bit smaller than a baseball, but if you get too close to it, it looks like it's going to spit spores at you. But again, it's a pathogen. Here's your apple being broken down by penicillium. Penicillium is used to produce antibiotics. Apples like this are used to produce vinegar, which again is a food source. We get products out of these. What do we have here? We got grapes, and we've all eaten grapes, and if you take grapes and you crush them upright and you put them into a fermentation type process, you get casks of wine. And then out of the cask of wine, you can get individual bottles of wine. This is the way it's been made for long periods of time. Oh, another product that is formed by processing materials with something like a bacterium or a fungus that used to be considered a plant. And what do we get? We get cheese. These are cheese wheels that weigh approximately 30 kilos each. That's about 60 pounds. So you can imagine how big these things are. They get taken out and they get aged on the shelf. They were aging this cheese for years. Oh, it was absolutely magnificent after being aged for that particular amount of time. And they sold it only in 30-kilo cheese wheels. What do we have here? We are fermenting materials using plants as a flavoring. This is actually gin coming off of a bottling plant. In here, we're looking at using plant material, in this case sugar cane, to be able to produce alcohol. Then the alcohol was flavored with plant materials and spices and everything to make gin. So again, another kind of product we use with plant material. In the end, what do we got here? We've got the wine. We've got, bread. We didn't talk about bread. You take plant material, you ferment it with the yeast, you get that. Then we've got the brie. The brie is a cheese that is made with the help of a fungus, and therefore it becomes very important in here. So we've got products that we can use. When we look around, we look at nature. Nature around us is one of the values of plants. You look in a field and it's got all these pretty colors and we see different things, and you see the birds in there and you see the animals in there. That's all nature. It goes back to botany. Over here we've got a nice country road. You walk down the country road, then you hear the wind blowing through the trees, and you see all of the animals and the birds, and it's amazing. Sometimes in natural areas, what do? We use the plants to feed the animals. And the animals can then be used to feed people. Or what do we get out of this? We get milk out of this to make cheese, and we get all sorts of other products out of here. This shows fall. And when we look at fall, we see the modification of what happens in the plant. And as we see that, we see color changes, and we see everything very interesting like this. Here's a little guy. He's one of the first invaders into an area, and what does he eat? He eats plant seeds, and he eats little pieces of root, and he eats little bits of plant and everything. And that's a very interesting chipmunk. Sometimes you see these guys, and what are they doing? They're herbivores. They only eat plants. And these two twins are extremely cute when you look at them like that. So when we look at botany, we're looking at everything that we can deal with as far as plants go, and everything that we get out of plants, and how plants become very important to us. You know, we didn't talk about textiles, and we didn't talk about building materials, but all of that go back to botany, and we see it in the importance of botany.